I hope. This is my first stream on my new PC. I just got it set up yesterday. So I'm going to take a hot minute here to check that it's working. And then we can get into the breakfast analysis. Today for breakfast, I have got French toast, hash brown patties, scrambled eggs, and bacon. And it's all really garbage quality, but that's okay. Here, let me... French toast. Whoa. Yes. Alright. The stream has been working. So, without further ado, we can go back over the teams. Last week's ranking, of course, Fire Tech, Swift, Ascent, Running with Scissors, Velocity, My Anime List, Black Swan, TF Crew, and Hooligans for Hire. I feel that as we get down into the later weeks of the season, we kind of narrow it down to something that doesn't change as much. You know, the beginning of the season was definitely very flexible, but right now, the only thing you could talk about swapping would be 8K and Velocity. And honestly, I have no idea which way to put these two teams. They're so damn close. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. So, if I could, I would probably put both of these teams at 4. But just because 8K beat Velocity like 4 weeks ago or whatever it was, we're going to keep them ahead. Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, nothing's changed. I guess that wasn't obvious, but nothing's changed from last week. So 8K still above Velocity. We're just going to keep them there. But obviously, I mean, we will see because they play each other this week, and that'll be a great game. And I'm super excited to cast it, or at least watch it. And yeah. Move on to Black Swan now because of the overall stuff. I mean, there's nothing too interesting here. Although with Black Swan, there's not a whole lot interesting happening either, if we're being completely honest. Black Swan, I think they played one game last week. Yeah, they played a 5-1 game against Ascent, which is fine. Their Argentinian player is very good. Mirror Man is also very good. I mean, they're playing against Ascent. That's never a team they're going to beat. Ascent evidently still playing with Patty and everybody during this match, and it seemed to go well for them. Patty hit almost 400 GPM and like 12 frags, but you know, it's a 5-1. I don't know how much you can really look into a game like that. Overall, I mean, yeah, Black Swan do play tonight, their second Sunshine match against My Anime List. This one has potential, I suppose, to be good. My Anime List has always been kind of like a team that punches above their weight class, though. Hi, Matt, now. Welcome to the stream. We're talking about Black Swan right now. Last time these two teams faced, I think it was about a 5-1 or a 5-0. Black Swan versus Anime. Yeah, it was a 5-0 on Granary, so I'm not super hopeful for this game happening tonight between these two. There is a good game happening tonight, but I don't think it's going to be this one. As much as I would like it to be, if Black Swan can come up and prove Sirens. Black Swan come up and prove that, you know, they can contest with mid-invite and not be considered low-invite. That would be really cool, but I don't think that's going to happen, so... They've got that, and then they got their last match on Badlands, only one game next week against Swift, which they will probably lose, and that surprises nobody. After the Sirens are gone, we're going to be looking at 8K. And so apparently I didn't know how the playoffs were supposed to work. It used to be that after number of wins, it looks at rounds won. But according to Try, now it looks at head-to-head before rounds won. So that means that... So basically, how it works with these two teams' playoffs, I'll scroll down because Velocity is next here. Right? Last season, or not last season, but in previous seasons, it would look at wins here to decide playoffs, and then it would look at rounds 4. And you can tell that's how it currently orders it. Like, even though 8K beat Velocity earlier on in the season, Velocity has more rounds 4, and so they're currently ahead. And you can see they've got quite a few extra rounds on 8K. Velocity have 52 rounds won, and then 8K have only 41 rounds won. And if you look at their games coming up, I mean, Velocity, they only have their match against 8K. 8K do get one extra match to make that up, but that's only a maximum of 5 rounds. So you can basically make it a 52 versus 46, which is still quite a huge difference. Yes, they've changed it now so that it's head-to-head. So, because 8K beats Velocity in the first time these two teams met, if 8K beat Velocity a second time, then they'll have won twice in the head-to-head, and 8K will get into playoffs instead of Velocity. So that's something I didn't realize last time when I was talking about this dynamic. I'm not sure what happens when if Velocity win this, because then it's 2 head-to-head ties, right? Then the only things I could think of, then after, if it's a head-to-head tie, maybe they'll go to rounds there, in which case Velocity will win. Maybe they'll go to the most recent head-to-head, in which case Velocity will win. Or maybe they'll go to the most decisive head-to-head, in which case probably Velocity will win, because the last one was a 2-3 scoreline. So, if basically it's whoever wins this match right here will get the final playoff spot. So this is a really important match. It's going to be the last match of the season. I don't know if it's scheduled yet. But it literally all comes down to this. I mean, these two teams are so close in skill. Like, they both played Fryotech and Swift recently. They both got 5-0'd by Fryotech. They both got 4-3'd by Swift. So they're both right up there with, like, the top level teams. And then, I mean, just all their results against previous teams. Obviously, when they played each other, that was a 2-3 scoreline. Like, that was so close. I really don't know who to put on top of these teams. Looks like it has been scheduled for Thursday. So we're definitely going to cast that on Team Fortress TV. Make sure you watch this match right here. This is so exciting. I'm so hyped for that game. And then, like, just looking at their previous results, like, Velocity 5-3's Ascent. I don't think 8K has that impressive of results. No, they 5-2 versus Ascent. So, slight differences here and there, but they're just so close in terms of skill. And, like, 8K, 5-forward anime list. Velocity, go up against their match against anime list, 4-3. Right? Like, they're neck and neck when you compare what teams they're up against, and then even when they go up against each other. Velocity and Running with Scissors are two teams very close in skill, and it'll be super interesting to see who actually comes out on top. I kind of hope it's Velocity, just because I feel bad for them. They kind of got robbed of it last season. But at the same time, I just want it to be a good game, and I want whoever gets in, I want to be able to actually contest. I think probably Velocity is the better team, but I mean, it depends on the day, really. These two teams are very neck and neck. Thank you, Metna. So yeah, I mean, Velocity, they've just been together for a really long time. Both these teams have pretty long history. If we look back, I think Running with Scissors is a different match page, so we might not be able to see it. Oh no. Like, 8K have been playing together since Season 16. It's obviously not the same roster. Velocity since Season 21, but they didn't skip a whole bunch of seasons, so... Both these teams definitely deserve it. And... yeah, it'll be a great game. This one might be a bit fast, but that's okay. Ascent. Yeah. Yikes, right? Here, let's open it up on Twitter as well, because that's probably where... oh god, this is a new PC. I haven't logged into Twitter yet. Do we have a news article yet? We do. We'll watch that. Ascent announces Pocket Soldier changes. Patty has been, where does it say? Quote unquote, moved to a substitute role. And Mela has come in to fill the vacancy. So I've heard all about this, obviously. And this kind of comes off the back of their second loss to Swift in the regular season. They obviously lost to Swift earlier on in the season, 5-4 on Granary, and then just last week a 4-3 on Sunshine. Ascent are really kind of falling apart here. I mean, it's not that bad, right? Like, it's not like they're losing to Velocity or even 8K right now, you know? They're still a strong enough team that, like, they're definitely still top 3, but they should be top 2. And the fact they're losing to a team like Swift, That shows both strength in Swift, but also faults in Ascent. They're clearly having roster issues. This is what they initially have finalized on, at least for now. This roster right here. Of course, Aslem, Marm, Mela, Badonsky, and Nercy. But I mean, there were a lot of rumors going around with this team. I'm not going to repeat all of them, but basically half the roster was cut at some point or another. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing that the team's kind of crumbling like this, but hopefully they can do well. Certainly, this does mean no more Mela casts for the rest of the season, which makes me very sad. But in terms of the actual quality of the gameplay, hopefully it will be better. Patty is a very controversial player, maybe. Not controversial in that people, like, think he's toxic or anything. I don't think he's toxic. I don't know. I feel like he just has some issues playing with certain people. And so they've opted to take him off of the main roster and bring back Mela. I feel like, in comparison, Mela is much easier to work with, lead a team. I don't know who's going to be leading the team, because definitely it was Patty beforehand calling the shots and stuff, so now with Mela stepping in, I don't know if he's going to try to fill that role, or if maybe somebody else, Podolsky or Nercy or somebody, is going to step up for that. That's more of an inter-team decision they've got to make and figure out for themselves, so this is a disaster. A center having roster changes literally in week 9 of the season. That's never what you want to see for your team. You want to see Mela win invite. That's fair enough. No way it's happening this season. Yeah, honestly, Firetech's just too good, and a center having way too many problems. I probably Swift are more likely to win this season than Ascent. Obviously, Firetech's most people's top pick, but yeah, no, if I had to make a bold prediction, if you made me put money on it, I would probably put Swift ahead of Ascent, even with Mela stepping in. Mela's a great player, but he hasn't been like a player for a little bit here, so that's definitely going to hurt them. Obviously, Mela's been focusing on casting for a little bit, so obviously, I mean, he's one of the best soldiers in the game, so he's not going to be a bad player by any means, but he might be a bit rusty, and that can always affect a team. But yeah, no, losing to Swift. Okay, I didn't spell Swift right. There we go. Losing to Swift really sucks for them. I hope you were watching that match. I know I was. It was a great game. We can just look over stats real quick for this. I mean, looks like Corsa hit the most damage per minute on his team. And I mean, you wonder why Patty got cut. Look at that stat line. 169 DPM, 30 and 39. Like, ooh boy. When the rest of your team is dropping like 220s, 240s, 250s, 169 damage per minute is not very good. And obviously that's not the only reason. They've clearly been trying to fix their roster, trying to do something with the roster for a long time. And maybe this was the breaking point. Although they did play another match after this with Patty. That was the Black Swan match, which we already kind of talked about. But still, I mean, this obviously factored into their decision at some point. But in terms of players who went well, I mean, Ascent's got the best scouts in the game. Maybe. Not even, I can't even say that anymore. I used to be able to say that. I don't think I can anymore. But Summit did a big 52 frags. That's quite a lot. But Swift are really good, if you didn't know. Nobody's hitting an insane DPM on Swift, but just like 55 bot mode frags, 42 high 5 frags. And then, like, even Yite's playing well, man. When Yite is playing well against you, it's time to cut your pocket soldier, evidently. So, yeah, Ascent, kind of a dumpster fire right now. Yeah. TF Crew coming out now. Didn't get to play their big match. Right. So, this is the most exciting game of tonight. I think we're casting it, aren't we? Yeah, we are. I'm not, right? No, it's Rowan Marxist. Okay. Yeah, this is gonna be a hype match tonight. Hooligans Fire versus TF Crew. Obviously, if we're looking at this from TF Crew's perspective, TF Crew have won one game overall in the entire season, and that was a 4-2 against Hooligans for Hire. And Hooligans for Hire have, of course, won 0 games all season. In terms of last week, they only played one match, and that was against Velocity, where they got 5-0'd. Excuse me, again, not a lot you can look into like this. Velocity were playing with Cookie Jake. That's because Bear's on a ski trip. So there's no drama to look into there as far as I'm aware. So overall, I think TF Crew, they probably played fine, but like Velocity's just a way better team. Velocity's trying to make playoffs, and TF Crew are trying to find their second win of the season. Obviously, a big skill gap there. I think it's cool that they got sponsored and stuff this season. Shout out to Uncle Dane. But yeah, no, definitely. The upcoming matches are Hooligans for Hire, which is obviously gonna be a really good one. Ascent, which maybe a bit less so. And then My Enemy List. Maybe that can be a close game, but again, like My Enemy List are definitely closer in skill with the teams above them than they are with the teams below them. Like My Enemy List have consistently had closer games against like 8K and Velocity than they have against like Black Swan or TF Crew. So I don't think that'll be a very close game. I kind of said this last week, I think, but the gap right here between 6th and 7th in invite is probably the biggest gap. Well, other than this one, between Furry Tech and Swift. So, like, between 1 and 2, there's a pretty big gap in invite. But then, like, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, like, they're all decently close with each other in terms of skill. I mean, you're not probably going to see Anime List beat Swift anytime soon, but, like, it's not going to be a complete roll sometimes. But then you go to, like, the gap between Anime and Black Swan, and, like, this is not, the match between these two teams is not ever going to be that close. TF Crew's name before was the Sparkle Gang. This was a team that played together for a long time, actually. They changed their ESEA page, so you can't tell based on this. But like, if we just go to June's page, for example, yeah, you can see old Sparkle Gang. They just renamed their ESEA team because when they made this new one, because this one was called Sparkle Gang for a minute. And so they've played together for a long time, like at least since season, what was that? What did it just say, 19? So Sparker Gang, season 16, this team technically started playing together. And again, it's probably not the exact same players, but I still think that's cool. Still a bit low on the invite bracket for being able to play that long, but it's good to see teams stick together and try to improve, at least a little bit. I don't know. They've shown some improvement, obviously, like getting 3 rounds off Furry Tech. We talked about this last week, but like this is probably not a big deal. I'm sure Furry Tech was not trying that hard. And you know, they're playing okay. They're getting a couple of rounds off of Black Swan, and even Swift, weirdly, I'm not sure what happened in this Gully Wash game, but it seems like they have improved from the beginning of the season, where they were getting a lot of 5-0s and 4-0 losses. And they kind of started getting some 5-1s in here, then the 5-2s started trickling in, and they got the first 5-3, obviously, against Furry Tech. But yeah, we'll see if they can take on Hooligans for Hire. This should be a match that they win, but you never know. Hooligans for Hire definitely have been improving a lot this season, and so I know they want to win this one. So that'll be a good game. Not going to be deciding playoffs or anything, but still, if you like watching good TF2, maybe not with like the best players, but close TF2, I would certainly recommend watching this one. This is also RGB Grand Final rematch, where TF Crew won in 2 maps. They say it in this write-up here. 3-2 and 4-3. That was the score during the RGB Grand Finals. So, very close between these two teams. And it's nice that there's a little, there's a little rivalry down here, even in the lower levels of invite. Moving on to not the lower levels of invite, Furry Tech. We'll take a look. I feel like for the past 8 weeks I've looked at Furry Tech and just been like, yeah, they're good. But, I mean, there's never that much to say. This week there kind of is, actually. They did win the most recent Essentials.tf tournament, which was pretty hype. So they've won 2 out of 2 of those so far. To nobody's surprise, really, but they did have some close games against Ascent. Definitely it wasn't, like, in the bag for free, especially because they didn't have Habib. I think that was probably the biggest reason why the Essentials.tf tournament was so close. It wasn't, like, so close. Like, it was still Furry Tech's, like, match. Like, the other team wasn't probably going to win, but, you know, it was back and forth. Certainly Ascent took some rounds and could have taken some maps. Did they even win a map? They might have. I don't think so, but maybe. So that was good to see. Last week, they had 2 5-0s, and this is great to see. Because I talked about this last time. And back when, like, well, even still, rounds still matter, probably, if head-to-head ties. Rounds are still important. So, like, the fact that Faritech is giving 3 free rounds to Black Swan, nobody cares, because Black Swan's not making playoffs anyways. So, like, the fact that TF Crew and Black Swan are getting, like, a bunch of free rounds off Faritech, that's not actually going to affect anything. But with AK and Velocity, these two teams are obviously neck and neck fighting for that final playoff spot. And if Faritech had thrown against one team and not against another, that could have really, like, thrown off the balance for playoffs, and maybe somebody could have gotten in, like, when they didn't deserve it. Like, if Faritech had let AK get 4 rounds and then just squash Velocity 5-0, that would have been really, like, awful to see. But they didn't. They played their hardest against both teams. They didn't give any mercy, and that's exactly what they should have done. That's like the sportsmanship thing to do between these two teams. Because obviously, I mean, nobody thought that AK or Velocity were going to win these. So Faritech came out and they were like, all right, let's stomp. And they did. They played with Boar, interestingly enough, against AK. Boar is their rostered sub. So, yeah. What is this? Oh, I see. That explains some tweets, but yeah. So they played really well against both these teams because their fire attack. Banny hit 429 DPM. My God, dude, fire attack is too good. Who was that? That was against AK. They have a similar, any similar crazy stats against Velocity? 400 from Habib. 400.0 damage per minute, hitting it on the nose. That's good to see. So Faritech looking very dominating going into playoffs. They play Hooligans for Hire, match of the season right there. Let me tell you, Faritech versus Hooligans for Hire, March 19th. Actually, it's still pending. It won't actually be played on this day. But keep checking back. This is the game you want to watch. Not actually, though. The game you do actually want to watch is Faritech versus Ascent. One last shot between these two teams. Obviously, I mean, this isn't really the big rivalry it used to be, right? It used to be like Faritech Ascent. This is the top 2 teams in North America going at it, but I don't think you can call Ascent the second best team in North America. It's weird because they still got second at Rewind, right? So like you want to be able to call them the second best team in the world, but just based on online results, you can't really call them the second best team in North America. So it's odd to figure out how that works, but I don't know. Certainly, Faritech are a fair bit ahead of Ascent. They're not going to be memeing in this game, at least not until the end. They're probably going to be playing with their full roster. I mean, especially going up against Mela. Like, Mela has not played a game all season, I think. I don't think Mela's played a game all season. No, we're season 27. Obviously, he played last season for Ascent. And the season before that. So, like, he's experienced, but yeah, last minute roster changes are not what you want to see for your team, and so Faritech, they will probably win this game, but you know, it still should be exciting. It's a very classic matchup, and I hope it'll be interesting. Usually Faritech in these kind of role games that still get casted, or even if they don't get casted, they like to pull out some silly stuff and play around with that. See Rewind to Grand Finals Map 3. Last 2 rounds, Faritech played Shade on Soldier, Bandy Medic, and then Yomps on the Scout, followed by the Rocket Jumper, or vice versa. Yeah, so that's Faritech, my anime list, .net, but not .net anymore. I don't know why they got rid of the .net, but that's neither here nor there. Obviously, they play Black Swan later tonight, and that one could be okay. Certainly, game of the night should be a TF Crew versus Hooligans for Hire. That one should be a lot closer than this one is, but this one still could be good. If you look at their results last week, I mean, certainly my anime list, they're definitely, like, in a spot. My anime list, like, there's no way you could argue they're anywhere other than 6th. Like, some of these teams you could argue, oh, you know, maybe this guy's up or down, maybe this guy's up or down, but my anime list, I mean, they're just so decisively above every team below them, and they're so decisively below every team above them. They're just, like, very comfortable in their 6th place seed, and I don't think they're going to move from that. That is, like, where they're on standings, right? They should be. Yeah, I don't think they're moving away from 6th place anytime soon. Like, the only close games they have seem to be against 8K or Velocity, so that's good to see. You know, they're kind of punching above their weight class a little bit, but they've yet to claw out a win. That's not true, actually. Week 1, they did beat 8K. So, like, maybe you could argue that my anime list deserve to be higher up. Like, not really. But, like, if you really wanted to push it. You could maybe say that they're above 6th. Maybe you want to put them in 5th, but I don't think so. At this point, 8K or my enemy list, they've just kind of got some roll games coming up. They still play one. They haven't played at all this week actually, but they play Black Swan tonight, followed by Swift and then TF Crew next week. That should be a win, a loss, and a win, which should end their roster at 7 and 9, I believe. Yeah. Ah. I guess their match against Swift is an opportunity to win. What was their last score against Swift? Last time they played Swift, they did get 2 rounds. So I'm not going to say that's impossible for them, but it's going to be rough. Certainly, especially since I think Swift need to win that in order to keep their 2nd place seed against Ascent in playoffs. 2nd versus 3rd seed doesn't really matter because you're playing the same team anyways, but it does matter for map picks and bans because that's the way ESEA does it now. So, still somewhat relevant, you know. I'm sure Swift will be trying their hardest. Yeah, they've been challenging teams above them. You know, Gully Wash Week was just a heartbreaker for them. They were still in playoff contention before Gully Wash Week. And it was so bad because both these games were comebacks as well. Like, Enemy List goes up 4-0, lose the match. Enemy List go up 3-0, lose the match. Both went into overtime. Both were against teams that they deserved to lose to, and they almost won both of them. And it's tragic, really. But moving on from my enemy list. Hooligans for Hire. We did kind of talk about them a bit when talking about TF Crew, because I feel like these two teams almost come in a pair. Just because nothing interesting happens when they're facing anyone other than them. Obviously, this team has lost a lot this season. 13 times in a row, to be exact. That leaves them at 3 more games throughout the season. They play TF Crew, they play Fire Attack, and they play 8K. There's no way they're beating Fire Attack. There's no way they beat 8K. So it's literally just a match against TF Crew coming up. If you look at their game last week, they played Swift. It was a 5-0. I'm not even going to bother talking about this. Like, I don't know. They played fine. Are they still having roster issues? I feel like they might be. Because they were struggling to find a medic for a long time here. Like, if you just look at their last 3 matches, they played with Bruley twice. They played with Fabulous once on medic. Then otherwise, Fabulous is on, like, Soldier. So I should ask them about their roster. Because I'm not actually that confident that it is what we have on the match page right now. This is what we've currently... This is the last official statement I heard from their roster. It was Fabulous Medic, Shiloh Demo, Foster Reflecto on Soldier, and then Lincoln Vari on Scout. I don't know if this is still their roster because they're playing a lot with Bruley. But, I guess she's only played 4 matches for them this season. It's interesting. I don't know. Hopefully they can stabilize their roster because coming into the season, I mean, they were certainly one of the teams that they came in. They're like, we want to improve. We know we're not going to win, but maybe in future seasons we can play well. So I would really like to see that from them. Coming in and claiming their first win against TF Crew would be a big morale boost for them. Not ending the season 0-16 would be a big morale boost to them. So I do hope they win. I try not to be biased, but I really hope Hooligans for Hire beat TF Crew on Sunshine here because I think they deserve it. I think they deserve at least 1 win, and TF Crew, they can take it. Sparkler Gang have been around for a long time, and they won't mind 1 extra loss. Where Hooligans for Hire, on the other hand, deserve this. And I love their fucking logo, dude. I've talked about this the first time they got it, but I think it's a sick logo, and I want to see it playing the top of Invite. Swift, is this our last team? It is. I know, we've gone fast. Oh my god. Look at this logo. Oh, it's so cool. Okay. Swift, this is another cool logo, by the way. I've got that on a couple of shirts. Swift last week had a 5-0 and a 3-4. Obviously, the match against Ascent, that's the one you want to talk about. Just destroying the enemy team. I mean, 55 frags being dropped by bot mode. 220. Well, there's no crazy DPM here, especially compared to the other team. Like, 254, of course, is pretty, a little bit ahead of everybody else. So, I think everybody played fine for them here in this match. Like, literally, everybody's damage is so close. Yites may be a little low, hitting only 20. He bottom fragged and, like, second bottom Yeah, second bottom damaged. But again, everybody's very close in damage, and in frags, well, Yite had literally half the frags of bot mode, less than that, so that's something, but I think they're playing fine. Yite memed on the forums that he was getting cut. I think that's just a troll. I don't think that's real. Where is it? Just got cut. Patty, want to make a team? Yeah, I don't think that's a real thing, but maybe it is. Who knows? I know Campy was looking for a team, so I don't think it's impossible that he got cut. I could just ask the team if it was a really big deal, but I think probably they're continuing on with Yite. He's played fine throughout the season. Certainly not the best demo in the game, but he's certainly surprised me, and he's surprised a lot of people with how well he's been playing on Demo Man this season. And just for team synergy and stuff, it's best not to swap your roster up right before playoffs ascent. But so they're looking very strong. They should end up second seed. If you look at these two teams, I think right now they're tied in wins, 11-3. But Swift play Anime and Black Swan, so they should end up 13-3. And Ascent play TF Crew and Friotech, so they should end up 12-4. May the best CEO win. Yeah. Benny and Mela have both been referred to as CEOs, so yeah, it's looking good for Swift NA. I don't really know what's up with Swift EU these days, or like any of the Swifts. I don't really follow their scenes that closely, but the NA roster is certainly having a good time this season. They've exceeded pretty much all expectations, beating Ascent twice, and how have they played against Friotech? 5-2 and 4-0. So not that great, but obviously, unlike when Friotech plays against TF Crew or something, they try their hardest against Swift, and they try to lock them down, so 2 rounds is still very respectable. But Badlands week, just looking ahead a little bit, again, maybe they'll have a close game against Anime, maybe against Black Swan. Probably not, though. Their last game against Black Swan was a 5-1. Their last game against Anime was 5-2. So should be a couple of easy wins for Swift next season or next week. Just getting ready for playoffs. I mean, that's basically what they're looking for right now. Your playoff roster will be Friotech, followed by Swift, followed by Ascent, and then either 8K or Velocity. That'll be a match decided later this week. I think this Thursday. So you're going to be really wanting to catch that match. Should be very good, I think. And it'll be stressful for both teams. I wonder if they'll have Bear back by then, because I think Bear is still in wherever he is skiing. Do they have Bear against Friotech? No, they still have Cookie Jake. So that's a little concerning. Cookie Jake's obviously a very good medic. Been backing up for a lot of top invite teams whenever anybody needed a medic. Played for Friotech a bit during the Essentials Cups and stuff, so yeah. So Bear's been gone at least since the 14th. So he only missed Sunshine Week. He'll probably be back. Probably only like a week vacation or something. But yeah, this will be an exciting final week, that's for sure. A big bang to the end of the regular season. Not something we usually have. Usually by like week 9, it's kind of decided already who's gonna get like first, second, third, and fourth. But we're actually going to have a very interesting week 9, so I'm very happy about that. And playoffs should be interesting as well. Obviously, I think Velocity and AK can both contend with teams like Swift in a sense. And obviously Swift and Ascent are very close in skill, so I think it'll be a really close playoff match. Gem, what's up? I'm just about to end the stream, so you've come at a terrible time. But I appreciate you stopping in anyways. For everybody else who's been watching, thanks for checking this out. I should get it up on YouTube hopefully later today, because my PC is actually built now, so hopefully that doesn't take too long. And yeah, be sure to watch the match tonight. It's gonna be a good one. Because Gem's in here, I'll also plug this match happening in 1 hour and 35 minutes. Aura Electro versus the Swamp. I know nothing about European teams, but I bet this is gonna be a great game. So we'll see you around, and yeah. Check out the game tonight. It'll be great.